Anupam, Shabila, Tanya, Shivani. Yes, Anupam. Do you want to ask anything? Yes, Anupam.
So good morning, sir.
Good morning. All well?
Yes, sir, all well.
Is it your first class, Anupam?
No, sir, it is my, I think, fourth or fifth class. I was
Third
studying in
class?
the room. Yes, sir.
Okay, you are also doing from Monday onwards, right?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
It's our fourth class, right? Hana? The first week. Good. Any question, Anupam?
Sir, about objective resolution.
Hmm.
Yes,
You want to know about objective resolution, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, fine. We'll tell. We'll discuss it. No. It's he's attending from Monday onwards. Please don't miss your class. 4 things are very necessary in order to prepare for UPSC. First, your commitment. Commitment. Second, commitment matlab you are committed to do some work, right? So your commitment should be, so commitment is a very important. Secondly, your regularity. Your regularity in the class. Okay? You must be regular. Sometimes what happens, you miss the class due to certain reason. Sometimes, the communications, gap, sometimes your health issue, sometimes any other issue, but try to minimize. एक दो छूट गया कोई बात नहीं, जब अगर छूट जाए, whenever you miss the class, see the recorded video. ठीक है? Okay, third is, focus your study, right? I know in the in the fall, next 2 years you have to focus on your preparation. You'll have lots of issues like uska marriage hai, ye hai, wo hai, right? You are filling the form for SSC also, for CDS also, for this also, for that also, है ना? होता है. Don't deviate. If you are preparing for UPSC, prepare it honestly, right? At least for 14 months. 14 to 15 months you prepare honestly. ठीक है? उसके UPSC के अलावा कुछ है ही नहीं आपके पास, right? Don't divert. And fourth is believe in your own self. Yes, I can, right? And you can. Everyone can, right? Depends on if you are regular, if you are concentrating on your study. For example, if I'm teaching polity 1 hour, 1.5 hours, right? Then you should also study it at least 1.5 hours, right? 1 hour at least at home, है ना? नहीं तो ऐसे नहीं होगा, right? तो थोड़ा सा regular रहिए. Whenever you miss the class, watch the video recorded, right? Watch recorded video. अब देखो, अब 2-3 स्टूडेंट नहीं आए, मैं उनका वेट कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, चलो कोई बात नहीं, टाइम पे आया करिए, घर से 2 मिनट 10 मिनट पहले निकलिए, है ना? Otherwise, if you know that even if you are second late, you will not be allowed to enter the examination hall. आपको examination hall में नहीं जाने देंगे. Yeah, the gate gets closed. ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखिए. Already 23, right? So can we discuss the last class a bit? Then we'll move ahead. Yeah. Yes. So anyone who can respond about what we discussed tomorrow, what we discussed yesterday? Yes, Shivani, go ahead. Shivani, I hope you told me that you want to speak. Yeah, speak up. Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah.
So, sir, can I start with making of constitution or from
Cabinet mission plan? Yeah, what we discussed yesterday.
Yesterday only. Okay. So yesterday we were discussing about Cripps Millen cabinet mission. Yes, cabinet mission plan.
mission भी बताया था. हाँ.
Yes, Cripps mission.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So in 1942, there was, after World War, there was a Cripps mission who ensured that there would be a Constituent Assembly. So for Constituent Assembly, there was a cabinet mission plan which was came. So there were salient features of a cabinet mission.
Right.
They were first, there would be a total number of seats would be 389, and out of which 296 would be from for British provinces and 93 for princely state. And out of 296, there would be 292 for Britishers and 11 for 292 for Britishers colony that were 11 and 4 were union territories, that is commissionary areas. And second,
296 and plus 93 tha, right? 296 was provincial British province. Yeah, this was the number, no?
Yes, and 296 में से 292
out of 296, 292 was from the provinces and 4 were from the British commissionary.
Yes.
Even British provinces were divided into 2 parts, provinces and commissionary. Yes, go ahead.
And the second, the British provinces were elected indirectly on the basis of proportional representation system, PRSTV system. And next, there would be from each provinces, there would be a 1 member for Constituent Assembly. They were also...
No, you are just come again. From each
provinces, there were 1 member for Constituent Assembly.
No. From each member, from each provinces, members were to be elected in proportion to the population of that province.
Yeah, okay. And it would be 1 representation from 1 million population. And next is there, and from each community there would be a representation from its community itself, from their community itself. And it would be divided in 3 categories that were general, Muslims, and Sikhs. So for generals, it would be included the ST, SC, Parsis, Christians, and etc. And Anglo-Indians also. So for ST, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar and Jaipal Singh Munda were represented. And
from tribal, from SC, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar.
And Jaipal Singh Munda for ST. Yes. And from women, there was a Rajkumari, Amrita Kaur, and Aruna Asaf they were representing women category. And after this, we discussed that there would be a princely state. From one member would be nominated from them, and it will be the consultation with Constituent Assembly only. And so we can say that Constituent Assembly was partly nominated and partly elected. After this, cabinet mission plan introduced a federal system of government for which there was 4 subjects for federal government. They were on defense, communication, currency, and external affairs.
Right.
So this was the party representation, and Congress was dominated over the party, and it was a rainbow community. Like it was famed from Hindu Mahasabha and who were there, sir?
Hindu Hindu Mahasabha, there was a socialist,
Jamindars, socialists, conservatives, etc.
etc. Yeah.
So and 4 main leaders were there from Congress. They were Patel, Nehru, Rajendra Prasad, and Maulana Azad.
Right.
So after this, we discuss about and in 1940 then Muslim League boycotted the Constituent Assembly.
Right.
After this, in 9 December 1946, there was a first Constituent Assembly was met. So in this, Dr. Sachindananda Sinha was elected as a temporary president. And after second sitting on 11 December 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was
elected as a permanent president.
Yeah, permanent president, and V.T. Krishnamachari and H.C. Mukherjee was
H.C. Mukherjee, right?
H.C. Mukherjee. H.C. Mukherjee. They were vice president for that assembly. After this, on a third meeting was held on the 13th December 1946, in which the Jawaharlal Nehru proposed an objective resolution. So, as
अब हो गया yes.
थोड़ा
और भी लोग हैं तो थोड़ा सा ठीक. That should you done well, na? Yeah, you know that should be representative, na? Other should from this side. Yeah.
Okay.
You just add to the point. Don't repeat. Try to add what she left and what you want to add. Yeah.
All authority should be handed to the people, and this should be safeguard against minority and backward people, ST. And India should promote peace, and India is a sovereign democratic republic. India is sovereign, something like this.
Yeah. So objective resolution talked about the nature of India's, right? India would be sovereign, secular, sovereign, and So if you look at the objective resolution, it was the fundamental philosophy behind making of India's constitution. That's right, Aditya. Yeah, it was actually, if you look at the preamble was derived from objective resolution. Anything else that you want to add?
Sir, one thing that the members from each province were elected indirectly.
Yeah.
And princely states were nominated.
Yeah. Princely state nominated their members.
Yes. Thus we can say that Constituent Assembly was partly elected
and partly nominated.
And the elected members were elected on the principle of CSE, proportional representative system, by means of
transferable vote. Very good. Very good.
So,
yes.
Sir, I have
Abhinav, come. Yes, Abhinav.
Sir, I have a question that in Constituent Assembly, mainly objective resolution is intended and other things about Constitution framed, but that representation is not with the universal adult franchise. मतलब उसमें सब Indians नहीं थे, लेकिन Constitution is framed partially nominated, partially elected persons, but in that sense that Constitution is not a
sovereign body.
Yes, sir, not a sovereign body, and people's will are not there. So that's my question.
Yeah, see, if you look at the making of India's constitution, there are several criticisms made against the constitution itself and Constituent Assembly itself. Right, one of the major criticism against Constituent Assembly was it was not based on a universal adult franchise, and it was not a sovereign body. Gandhi did not join the Constituent Assembly, and he did not consider Constituent Assembly as a sovereign body. Right. However, if you look at, there was a leaders like Nehru, Ambedkar, Maulana Azad, right, Rajendra Prasad, they thought that, look, in 1945-46, look at there was a cloud of partition. There was a cloud of partition, and it was not possible to elect a to frame a constituent assembly on the basis of universal adult franchise. Otherwise, it would have been taken more time, 2 or 3 more years to constitute constituent assembly. नहीं, मान लीजिए फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर यूनिवर्सल एडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज के बेस पे इलेक्शन भी होता, कंसीडर it would have been taken 2 or 3 more years and there would have been universal adult franchise, right? And there was an election of the Constituent Assembly. If you look at the major leader of that contemporary time, they would have been elected to the Constituent Assembly, right? The color and diversity of the Constituent Assembly would not have been more different. अंबेडकर आते ही, नेहरू आते ही, नेहरू इलेक्शन हार जाते क्या? मुझे बताइए. If you look at 1952 general election, Congress won most of the seats. Most of the seats. Right? The Jansangh member, क्या नाम था इनका? श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी. He was the member. He was there. Jansangh का एक भी सीट नहीं था first parliament में, but he was a member of the Constituent Assembly. Okay, Avinav. So if you look at, there are criticism made against Constituent Assembly. It was not a sovereign body because it was not, directly elected by the people of India on the basis of a universal adult franchise. But let me tell you, look at the context. There was a cloud of partition, right? There was a negotiation among the different community, right? Even if election would have been occurred on the basis of universal adult franchise, do you think that the composition of Constituent Assembly would have been different? Nehru हार जाते election? हाँ, या राजेंद्र प्रसाद हार जाते election? नहीं हारते भाई, नहीं हारते. कांग्रेस जिसको बिठा देती, कांग्रेस ने बहुत लोगों को लाया था. I told you yesterday, I told you that Congress brought many people to bring, to make the constitution. Right? Have you heard about B.N. Rao? There were two, a great constitutionalist in the Constituent Assembly. Not only two, but there were many, but two were two was a great scholar who had great knowledge on the Constitution. B.N. Rao, studied approximately 30 constitutions of the world. Right? So B.N. Rao and Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar was a member of the Constituent Assembly. Let me tell you, B.N. Rao was not a member of the Constituent Assembly. But, Nehru brought him as an advisor. Right? So, this, of course, there is a criticism, but there is a criticism, that there is a counter argument of this criticism. है ना? Right? कि अगर universal adult franchise नहीं होता possible. आपको पता है कि first universal adult franchise में women, around 2 million women did not vote. You know why? First general election जब हुआ था, first election कब हुआ था? November 1951 में शुरू हुआ and ये चला था Feb 1952 तक, 4 महीने. जैसे अभी भी इलेक्शन, जनरल इलेक्शन होता है, कितने महीने होता है? 3-4 महीने तो लग ही जाते हैं, नहीं लगते हैं? वो कभी कर्नाटका से शुरू होता है, उधर केरला और तमिलनाडु से, और इधर नॉर्थ ईस्ट आते आते लग जाता है टाइम. आपको पता है इस इलेक्शन में 20 लाख वुमेन वर नॉट एबल टू वोट. डू यू नो व्हाई? इलेक्शन कमीशन वाज फेस्ड प्रॉब्लम टू मेक द इलेक्टोरल रोल. डू यू नो व्हाई? वुमेन हैड नो नेम. Two million people, 2 million women had no name. Yes, no name. Right? If you look at some region area, right, girls are said somewhere it is called lalli, somewhere called, baby, somewhere called gudiya, और गुड़िया 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 ही रह गई. बाप के लिए भी गुड़िया, पति के लिए भी गुड़िया, मम्मी के लिए भी गुड़िया, और उस पूरे रीजन में हजारों गुड़िया. Are you getting my point? किसी का नाम ही नहीं है, सब गुड़िया ही है. Are you getting my point? लड़कों का नाम होता था रामचंद्र, हाँ, श्याम, राइट, कृष्णा, जो भी है, अलग अलग नाम, उनके बेटे का नाम, क्योंकि वहां पे प्रॉपर्टी बढ़ती थी, पता नहीं, प्रॉपर्टी नाम होता था, नाम दर्ज होता था। लड़कियों का क्या, right? So 2 million women were unable to vote because, election commission was unable to make the rolls of the 2 million women because women had no name, right? There was a common name, है ना? Boy के लिए भी common name होता है, right? Somewhere it is called लल्ला, in अवध region, इस region में होता है, मथुरा region में boys को लल्ला बोलते हैं, right? Somewhere called, मतलब कुछ और बोलते हैं, but उसका नाम भी होता है। Are you getting my point? The sense, right? Anyway, so universal adult franchise was very difficult in the 1946, 47, 46 era approximately. सरनेम कुछ नहीं होता था। हमारे यहाँ जो हमारा घर है वहां पर बुच्ची बोलते हैं सबको, तो सब बुच्ची बुच्ची सब है, वही है, राइट? एक को बोलते हैं गुड़िया, तो गुड़िया गुड़िया सब गुड़िया ही है, सबके घर में सब गुड़िया है, नाम ही नहीं होता था। मैंने आपको एक मूवी दिखाई थी, बोल बताई थी, शायद आप लोग को बोला था मैंने देखने के लिए, देखिएगा। उसमें एक बच्चा है जिसका बोलते नाम रख के क्या करोगे ये, why you keep this name? Watch this movie, Bowl. It's a very important, very, very significant movie. If you can watch. Sometimes if you can get, you can watch. ठीक है? चलो, anyway. Am I making sense, Avinav? So, you can make a counter argument, right? The universal adult franchise was not possible for the particular point of time. Consider if there would have been universal election on the basis of universal adult franchise and creation of Constituent Assembly. Is it possible that the composition of the Constituent Assembly would have been different? The answer is no. Why is it? Do you think that Nehru would have been lost election? No. Rajendra Prasad or any member, or for example, C. Rajagopalachari or any member, Minu Mashani or K. M. Munshi, any, or क्या नाम है इनका चीफ मिनिस्टर था जो यूपी के, बीजी पंत, गोविंद बल्लभ पंत, जीबी पंत, गोविंद बल्लभ पंत, आपको हार जाते? नहीं हारते भाई, राइट? हाँ, वुमेन का कुछ था, हम जैसे हंसा मेहताल वगैरह, लेकिन कांग्रेस बिठाती तो नहीं हारता, बिकॉज कांग्रेस वाज not only a party, Congress was an organization of movement, right? It led the freedom struggle movement for 30-40 years, and it had vision. Look at the vision of the Constituent Assembly. That vision reflects the freedom struggle. नहीं, हम क्या बनाना चाहते? गांधी क्या चाहता था, या बोस क्या चाहता था? इंडिया को स्वतंत्र बनाना, राइट? रिपब्लिक बनाना, सब. If you look at the preamble, it reflects the vision of the maker of the constitution, right? And also it reflects the vision of the entire freedom struggle. Fine. So yeah, any more question? नहीं, या कुछ छूटा है? अगर आप कुछ उधर हम लोगों ने छोड़ा है इधर, anything that you can add? She asks yesterday that member was 389, right? But in here there was a Muslim League, and this election what happened in July 1946. Constituent Assembly का जो election हुआ था, that conducted in July 1946. But if you look at when there was a partition का जो प्रोग्राम था वो एक्सेप्ट कर लिया गया था जून में ही, 1946 में, 1947 में, राइट? और 1947 में जून में 47 में, या पार्टीशन, माउंटबेटन ने कहा कि ठीक है पार्टीशन होगा। रेडक्लिफ आए, अगर हिस्ट्री पढ़ेंगे, रेडक्लिफ वाज अ जियोग्राफर. He came to India and within 1 week he divided Indian boundaries, right? In a very hodgepodge manner, right? किसी को जो एरिया इंडिया में आना था वो पाकिस्तान को दे दिया, जो पाकिस्तान में जाना था कुछ इंडिया पाकिस्तान इंडिया में आ गया, राइट? Anyway, now Muslim League did not join. What happened? The entire strength of the Constituent Assembly decreased from 389 to 299. What the idea? थोड़ा सा ये जो चैप्टर मैंने बोला था आपको पढ़ने के लिए, ये पढ़िएगा. क्या नाम है? मेकिंग ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फ्रॉम लक्ष्मीकांत, राइट? कुछ फैक्चुअल डेटा है, वहीं से पढ़िएगा. ठीक है? इंफॉर्मेशन आप यहां से पढ़िए, मुझसे लीजिए, और कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी मुझसे लीजिए एंटायरली, राइट? जैसे इन्होंने पूछा था कि सर ये सोवर्न बॉडी नहीं थी, तो उसका काउंटर आर्गुमेंट है कि सोवर्न बॉडी थी भाई, राइट? या एनीथिंग दैट यू वांट टू आस्क? या समवन सेड ऑब्जेक्टिव रिजोल्यूशन, वो आया ही नहीं है, राइट? नाउ ही आस्क्ड व्हाट इज द ऑब्जेक्ट, यू नो, ही सेड थोड़ा सा ऑब्जेक्टिव रिजोल्यूशन बता दीजिए सर. And Anupam has also asked, so what do you mean by the objective resolution? अच्छा, ऑब्जेक्टिव का मतलब क्या होता है? गोल होता है, हाँ? अच्छा, रिजोल्यूशन का क्या मतलब होता है? एक टाइप्स ऑफ प्रॉमिस, agreement, right? Agreement among us. So objective यानी goal, you know, you can say objective resolution refers to the goal that Constituent Assembly intended to achieve. Right? Objective resolution was a goal, was an aim, was an ambition that Constituent Assembly intended to achieve. Like India would be sovereign democratic republic. Right? The people of India shall be the source of authority and power. है ना? 2 4 5 पॉइंट मैंने लिखवाया है. Right? We will resolve all the international disputes through peaceful means. है ना? Then you know there will be adequate safeguards for minorities. ठीक है? तो जो मैंने लिखवाया वो काफी है. ठीक है, उतना काफी है. कुछ डेटा, फैक्चुअल डेटा है, वो आप थोड़ा पढ़िएगा चैप्टर. फॉर एग्जांपल, बहुत ज्यादा फॉर एग्जांपल है, you know, if you look at when a partition took place, the majority of the princely state joined. Right before, you know, the approval of the partition, only 6 princely states joined the Constituent Assembly. But when Mountbatten accepted the partition scheme, then majority of the princely state joined India. Now, after the Government of India Act 1947, you know, this Constituent Assembly became a two-body. One worked as a Constituent Assembly, whose work was to make the constitution, and the other was the interim parliament, right, or temporary parliament, because they had to maintain the law and order, right? They had to pass the order, right? Who presided the Constituent Assembly? Who presided the Who was the president of the Constituent Assembly? Dr. Rajendra Prasad. But if you look at when that same people used to sit as of parliament, then G.B. Mablankar presided the meeting. ठीक है? What the idea? So कुछ factual data है, पढ़िएगा. आपके बिना पढ़े हुए नहीं होने वाला है. Right? Your contribution is needed. Right? आपको पढ़ना है. हाँ, कुछ क्लैरिटी नहीं है, कहीं पे कोई लाइन है समझ नहीं आई, राइट? कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट है समझ में नहीं आया, वो मुझसे जरूर पूछिए, राइट? No. See, look at before Government of India Act, you know, Government of India Act 1947, before Government of India Act 1947 Act, you know, Government of India Act 1947. No, 1947 there was an act, no?
Independence of India.
Yeah, Independence of India Act. Yeah, Independent of, yeah, that is Independence of India Act. or India's Independence Act, whatever, 1947. If you look at, Constituent Assembly worked as a Constituent Assembly. But after this act, Constituent Assembly became a purely sovereign body, right? Because India became independent, a free country, right? And CA worked as a Constituent Assembly, but it also worked as a interim parliament, right? Interim parliament. So who used to preside this Constituent Assembly? Dr. Rajendra Prasad, right? Rajendra Prasad. Who used to preside the interim parliament? Yes, GV Mablankar. ठीक है, तो ये थोड़ा सा फैक्ट्स है, थोड़ा पढ़िएगा, ठीक है। चलो मैं थोड़ा आगे बढ़ूं, थोड़ा प्रियम्बल के ऊपर जाऊं। नाउ वी विल मूव टू प्रियम्बल। जैसे कुछ ये है, फॉर एग्जांपल कुछ कमिटी है, फॉर एग्जांपल हु हेडेड ए स्टीयरिंग कमिटी, राजेंद्र प्रसाद। हु हेडेड ड्राफ्टिंग कमिटी, डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर। ये थोड़ा पढ़ लीजिएगा, ये मत मुझे बोलिए कि सर ये कौन कमिटी हेड किया, वो कौन कमिटी हेड किया, राइट? या नेशनल एंथम कब अडॉप्ट हुआ, हाँ, नेशनल फ्लैग कब अडॉप्ट हुआ, कैलिग्राफी किसने किया, सब फैक्चुअल डेटा है ना। वो एसएससी लेवल पे या स्टेट पीसीएस लेवल पे पूछता है, ठीक है। यूपीएससी कभी ऐसे नहीं पूछती है, राइट? एक आध होता है, अगर होता है तो, अदरवाइज ऐसे नहीं पूछती है, ठीक है। एक दो चीज और बताना है। देयर वाज क्रिटिसिज्म अगेंस्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली, तब उसके प्रियम्बल जाएंगे। देयर वाज अ क्रिटिसिज्म अगेंस्ट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली एंड वन क्रिटिसिज्म इज मेड बाय अभिनव, राइट? कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली वाज नॉट अ सोवरेन बॉडी, राइट? इट वाज इनडायरेक्टली इलेक्टेड by the provincial legislature, and part, if you look at nominee, yeah, their member was also nominated by the princely estates. But then there is a counter argument, right? Look at the circumstances and then you judge, you analyze the thing, right? Then there was argument against Constituent Assembly that, if you look at the Constituent Assembly, they made a constitution which is not in Indian, basically. Nahin, which is not an Indian, it is a purely borrowed, right? If you look at from 395 total जो हमारा जो constitution बना था, तो there was a 395 articles, था ना? Part कितना था? 22, and what schedule? कितना था schedule? 8. Now, out of 395 articles, 200 articles were borrowed from Government of India Act. 200 articles were borrowed from Government of India Act, right? Dr. Ambedkar replied, look at, we are, intended to form a parliamentary democracy, right? And if you look at the Government of India Act 1935, which actually established parliamentary democracy in India, it was based on the experience of the British Parliament. So we have to opt. But there was a more article that was related to Indian. For example, Article 17. So we will discuss Article 17 क्या था? Abolition of untouchability. Article 13. What was Article 13? Article 13 was any law which is contradictory to the fundamental right shall be null and void. Any colonial law. So there was a many articles which were Indian in nature rather than British one. Yes, we borrowed many things from many countries, right? For example, federalism. We have borrowed federalism from where? No, Canada. Indian federalism is more similar to Canada. If you talk about, fundamental right, we borrowed fundamental right from USA. प्रिएम्बल वी बोरोड फ्रॉम यूएसए। तो ये जो चैप्टर है ना, मैं अब सैलिएंट फीचर ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड मेकिंग ऑफ इंडियाज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, ये 2 चैप्टर पढ़िए, ठीक है। 1 चैप्टर आई हैव एडेड टू यू, read the salient features of the Indian constitution. So then if you look at the constitution, there are many factors, are borrowed one, many things are borrowed one, ठीक है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल जो प्रियम्बल में है, जस्टिस, सोशल, इकोनॉमिक एंड पॉलिटिकल, ये जो फ्रेज है, वेयर डू यू हैव बोरोड फ्रॉम? वी बोरोड फ्रॉम रशिया, USSR, US, right? Yes, Avinav. For example, liberty, equality, fraternity. कहाँ का स्लोगन है ये? Liberty, equality, fraternity. फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन, वेरी राइट, वेरी गुड, फ्रांस, राइट अभिनव। तो बहुत चीजों हमने बोरो किया है। लोगों ने कहा कि हमने वीणा और सितार मांगा था, राइट, और हमें क्या ठहरा दिया? इंग्लिश बैंड। देयर आर मेनी क्रिटिसिज्म कि we intended to make a veena on sitar, but we have framed English band, right? But do you think that Indian constitution is the alien one? लगता है नहीं कि ये बाहरी है? Do you find Indian constitution, थोड़ा तो कुछ पढ़ा होगा Indian constitution या नहीं पढ़ा है? अभी पढ़ेंगे हम लोग, then we will analyze basically the last 2-3 क्लास में, डाउट सेशन में we will analyze कि what is the constitution what we have studied, and whether Indian constitution is an alien one or not, ठीक है? Of course it is a modern one, right? It talks about equality. Look at Indian society, the most unequal society. Look at the caste, look at the patriarchy. So of course it is a equal one, and equality is a modern value, नहीं? Otherwise तो पहले तो था, काम भी बंटवारा था, समाज भी बटा हुआ था, even society was divided, right, graded, right, even within the household there was a gradation, right? अभी भी है, अभी भी that is still going on, but now family has become more egalitarian than earlier one, नहीं? Now women are coming outside of the household, they are participating in different sphere of life. पहले नहीं था भाई, अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं थी, क्योंकि ये इमेजिन करना कि वुमेन शुड गो आउटसाइड, इट वाज लाफेबल, राइट? ठीक है, अच्छा आपकी वाइफ जा रही बाहर, नहीं, इट वाज लाफेबल इन इंडियन सोसाइटी। नाउ एवरीवन नोज कि यस, वुमेन कैन गो आउटसाइड, कैन स्टडी, right, can do in their own field, right? So of course equality was a modern value. Liberty was a modern value. Liberty was not there in Indian society. So of course if you look at the Indian constitution, which makes India as a modern nation state, नहीं? ठीक है, चलो थोड़ा सा ये दोनों चैप्टर पढ़िएगा, दोनों फैक्चुअल है, राइट? I'll take test. इस सैटरडे को दोगे इस 2 चैप्टर के ऊपर? प्रियम्बल में आज और कल पढ़ा दूंगा, दोगे या नहीं? नेक्स्ट सैटरडे, इस सैटरडे या नेक्स्ट सैटरडे? नेक्स्ट सैटरडे, सो लेट कीप इट नेक्स्ट सैटरडे. This Tanya is saying this Saturday, Anupam saying next Saturday. Keep next Saturday. ठीक है?
This Saturday we have an economic test.
Oh, you have economic test, so okay. The next Saturday, right? By the time I will finish, preamble also, right? Now let me talk about preamble. अच्छा, preamble किसको किसको याद है? सबको याद होना चाहिए, right? At least याद होना चाहिए. How many of you have remember preamble? कल मैंने पूछा था, right? पहले हम preamble को देखते हैं क्या क्या है. क्या कहता है? We, the people of India. सबका मायने है preamble को. अगर आप preamble समझ गए तो भारत को समझने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Right? We the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Right? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and secured its citizen to all its citizens, justice. I'm writing the major point, major word: justice, social, economic, and political. Right? Then liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Right? Then equality, then fraternity, then last में unity and integrity. Right? And there is a date, 26th November 1949, we enact, and do ourselves to this constitution. Now we will explain each word of the preamble. Now, how do we define preamble? How can we define preamble? Anyone? How we can define preamble? कोई किताब देखा है? उसमें प्रीफेस रहता है. कभी प्रीफेस पढ़ते हो किसी किताब का? Priya is saying preamble is a character of our constitution. Fine. किसी किताब का प्रीफेस देखा है ना? किताब पलटते तो प्रीफेस रहता है ना? हर किताब में प्रीफेस है. इस किताब को पलटिए, कोई भी किताब पलटिए, प्रीफेस रहता है. इसका क्या मतलब है? प्रीफेस का क्या मतलब है? प्रीफेस ऑफ द 6th एडिशन. राइट? प्रीफेस आपको बताता है कि इसके अंदर में है क्या, हर किताब में. राइट? So how we can define preamble? Preamble is an introductory. It is an introduction of the constitution. Right? It is basically, it tells us what is the ethos, what is the nature of the Indian constitution. Right? What are the principles? What are the values of the constitution? Right? It actually envisages the minds of the constitution maker. It also tells us about the vision of the national freedom struggle. नहीं है ना? Basically, the preamble constitutes also philosophy of the Indian constitution. It is one of the core principles of the Indian constitution. समझ में आया? हाँ? लिखेंगे इसको, थोड़ा लिखिए तो, write it. Then लिखिए, preamble is a introductory note. Or preface of the constitution which reflects. Preamble is an introductory note or preface of the constitution which reflects know, which reflects vision of the constitution makers and value enshrined in the freedom struggle. Value enshrined in the freedom struggle. It constitutes philosophy of the Constitution. It constitutes philosophy of the Constitution, right? And tells us the future of India. Tells us, yeah. The future, or 1 minute में कैसे लिखवाना चाहता हूँ. It constitutes philosophy of the Constitution and tells the portraits of future India. Right? India shall be sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic, republic. Right? We'll talk about popular sovereignty and all. Okay? This is the basic. Right? It is the ethos of the Constitution. Ethos of the Constitution. Right? Or a spirit of the Constitution. ये सब एडजेक्टिव वर्ड लगा रहे हैं. अब देखो ना. Right? Someone said it is identity card. Fine. आप जो है वो किताब में पढ़ ही लोगे, है ना? Now, if you look at, there is a called "We the People." We the people of India. इसका क्या मतलब है? We the people of India, having solemnly constitute India into sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic republic. How does it mean? इसका क्या मतलब है? Abhinav said, we the people are source of power. नहीं, humbly constitute किया इंडिया को. कैसे? Sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic. Basically, it reflects popular sovereignty. Reflects popular sovereignty. What do you mean by popular sovereignty? Popular sovereignty means, the power and authority lie in the hand of the people. Right? It reflects popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty refers to all power to people who are the source of power and authority. समझ में आया? पॉपुलर सोवर्निटी का मतलब हम कहते हैं वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड इंडिया इनटू सोवरेन socialist, secular, democratic republic. It means we the people are powerful. Right? We people made the constitution.
All the power lies in the hand of people.
Yeah, all power lies. Objective resolution जैसे बताया था ना, वहां पर था ये ना कि all the source and authority lie in the hand of the people. Like अच्छा, ये पॉपुलर सोवर्निटी है क्या? दूसरा सोवर्निटी होती है क्या? होती है। सोवर्निटी पहले किसके हाथ में होती थी? मोनार्क के हाथ में, राइट? मोनार्क के हाथ में हुआ करती थी, ठीक है। उसके बाद कौन आ गया हमारे ऊपर? ब्रिटिश आके चढ़ गया। ब्रिटिश के हाथ में सोवर्निटी थी, लोगों के हाथ में सोवर्निटी नहीं थी, है ना? सो जब सोवर्निटी एक लोगों के हाथ में हो, कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड हो, उसको बोलते हैं मोनेस्टिक सोवर्निटी। क्या बोलते हैं उसको? मोनेस्टिक सोवर्निटी, राइट? तो एक तो हो गया मोनोइस्टिक सोवर्निटी। इट इज monistic, yeah, SOVERIGNTY, MONISTIC, monistic। अच्छा, इसका क्या मतलब होता है? पावर लाई इन हैंड ऑफ वन, राइट? वन फैमिली और वन वेरी कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड मोनिस्टिक सोवर्निटी होता है। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल किंग्स पावर, है ना? उसके बाद कौन है? ब्रिटिश पावर। पहले मुगल था पावरफुल, देयर वाज अ मोनिस्टिक सोवर्निटी, right? Then British came to power, people were not powerful, right? Now against this monastic sovereignty there is a popular sovereignty। popular sovereignty मतलब क्या होता? people's power। people are source of power and authority। तो जब हम कहते हैं we the people of India, then it means it shows that India believes in popular sovereignty, not monastic sovereignty। We don't believe in monastic sovereignty, we believe in popular sovereignty, right? Yeah। Now if you look at the one again, the word sovereignty, इसका मतलब क्या होता है? सोवर्निटी का मतलब क्या होता है? इसका सिंपल होता है मतलब सुप्रीम कंट्रोल। जब मैंने आपको बताया पॉपुलर सोवर्निटी मींस जो सुप्रीम कंट्रोल है वो लोगों के हाथ में है। द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया आर सुप्रीम कंट्रोल, हैव सुप्रीम कंट्रोल। जब हम मोनेस्टिक सोवर्निटी की बात करते हैं कि किंग हैज सुप्रीम कंट्रोल, ब्रिटिश हैड सुप्रीम कंट्रोल। Now when we talk about popular sovereignty, it means the people of India has authority and power, it means control, right? So sovereignty ka jo now if you define sovereignty, it means supreme control। हिंदी में संप्रभु बोलते हैं, हाँ, हिंदी में बोलते हैं संप्रभु। आप संप्रभु हैं, प्रभु है मतलब आप बहुत पावरफुल है ना? तो sovereignty means, right? And there are two types of sovereignty। If you look at, there is a domestic sovereignty, and there is called, international, right? India is sovereign in both matter. Domestic matter and international matter। No country can compel us to accept any agreement without our consent, right? So there is a domestic sovereignty means India shall be, it means India shall be supreme to decide its all domestic matters। ठीक है? कहेंगे तो हम बीबीसी पे छापा मरवा देंगे। You remember, have you seen the BBC had been, that is called survey, IT survey was done by Indian government। Nobody can dare to speak because we are sovereign, हम चाहेंगे तो we can arrest thousand people, right? PM documentary, yes. Now look at each person and institution who wants to criticize government. Government is try to shut them up, shut their mouth. एक छोटी सी there is a लोक गायिका यूपी की है, राठौर. she's a girl, यूपी में काबा, वो गाना लिखा है उसने, नेहा राठौर. देखा ना? जानती हो आप लोग नेहा राठौर को? आज न्यूज़पेपर में है. अभी कुछ दिन पहले योगी सरकार ने एक घर पे बुलडोजर चला दिया. बुलडोजर एक नया चला है, बुलडोजर बाबा. योगी इज कॉल्ड बुलडोजर बाबा. तो उन्होंने इन कानपुर, योगी गवर्नमेंट, actually bulldozed the house, and in that process one mother and one girl, right, died, right? And that lady Neha Rathore, she actually criticized the government कि यूपी में काबा, बाबा के डीएम तो बड़ा रंगबाज बा. देखा क्या? नहीं देखा आप लोगों ने? हाँ, बाबा का डीएम तो बड़ा रंगबाज बा, रौंदत उसके घर पे रौंद दिया, उसको मार दिया, राइट? क्या यही यूपी का राम राज्य है? क्या यही बाबा का राम राज्य है? और बाबा को इसी पे घमंड बा. नाउ द यूपी पुलिस मेड रेड, right, and issued a notice against her. Nobody can talk. No country can tell us that India, there is something wrong in India. That is, dissent are not allowed to talk. Media is not free in India. Do you think media is free? But no country. Have you seen any country who talked about India कि media free नहीं है? Passing reference में कह देते हैं. कल बीबीसी पे 2-3 दिन पहले छापा पड़ा था, Tory MP questioned in British Parliament, and British MP responded, the government responded, we protect BBC. क्या? हाँ, कम कर दीजिए शायद सबको. We will protect BBC. मतलब I'm talking very negative things, right? What is happening currently, but it is not, right? मतलब but वो एक aspect है, that is one aspect. But if we talk about anything, India shall be supreme in domestic affairs. It means it can decide anything in its domestic within its boundary. Now international में India shall be supreme to accept or reject any international agreement. नहीं, India shall be independent to accept or reject any international agreement. We are not dependent on any other country. That is the meaning of sovereignty, right? Ki we in domestic matter and in international matter, India is supreme, right? Our decision is not dependent on any other country. हमारा जो decision है वो दूसरे country पे dependent नहीं है. You are free, ठीक है? तो sovereignty का मतलब पता चल गया, ठीक है? ठीक है, चलो. Come to the word socialism. अच्छा, सोशलिज्म का मतलब क्या होता है? हिंदी में समाजवाद कहते हैं. What does it mean? Sorry? State control. In socialism, state controls all the agreement. वो टाइम ये इधर नहीं था तो मैंने बीच में ही टी बना दिया. एक्चुअली इधर ये एक्चुअली इसीलिए मैंने एग्रीमेंट है. India shall be independent to accept or reject any international agreement. We are free, right, within our own boundary in domestic matter, and we are also independent in all international matter. अच्छा, ये जो वर्ड है सोशलिज्म ना, मैं बता दे, वर्ड सोशलिज्म आया है द वर्ड सोसाइटी से। इसका मतलब होता है टू शेयर, टू शेयर। बेसिकली सोशलिज्म डेवलप्ड अगेंस्ट द आइडिया ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म। सोशलिज्म कैसे डेवलप्ड हुआ? कैपिटलिज्म के अगेंस्ट में एक आइडियोलॉजी डेवलप हुआ, राइट? पहले क्या था? कैपिटलिज्म। बोलोगे सर ये क्या है? ऑफ कोर्स सोशलिज्म समझने के लिए आपको कैपिटलिज्म समझना पड़ेगा, देन you will understand socialism. Now what happened in capitalism, right? If you look at the capitalism and its philosophy, liberalism और कैपिटलिज्म ये फिलॉसफी है और ये उसका इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट्स है। अब ये डेवलप्ड हुआ है 16-17 सेंचुरी में, 16 and 17 सेंचुरी में। ये एडवोकेट क्या करता है? ये कहता है कि ऑल इंडिविजुअल आर फ्री, all individual are free and equal. And ये कहता है कि सब बराबर है और फ्री है, स्वतंत्र है, right? Now if you look at, John Locke was a father of liberalism, who talked about each individual is equal and free, and each individual has equal liberty, equal rights. No one has more than the other. She has equal as I have, right? Everyone, and everyone is free in her or his domain, right? And no one has right to harm the other. For example, are you getting my point? So each individual is free to exercise their liberty, exercise their rights, right? What the idea? For example, I should be free to listen any music, है ना? But I am not free to raise sound of the music in such an extent some may be irritated. That is not liberty. That is called license. पता नहीं license, right? So liberty is not license. And it talked about all individuals are free and equal. समझ में आया? अब हुआ क्या? इन्होंने एक इकोनॉमी बना दी। ये जो लिबरलिज्म फिलॉसफी था, इन्होंने एक इकोनॉमी को जन्म दिया जिसका नाम था कैपिटलिज्म, right? Because it gave birth to the industrialization, right? And it controlled the government. इसका एक और फिलॉसफी है, there will be minimum government. Minimal government. Government will not be interventionist. Government will not intervene in individuals' liberty. Government will intervene only when law and order is problematic, right? Government will be like referee in the game. Referee क्या करता है गेम में? क्या? कब रूल का वायलेशन होता है, राइट? रेफरी का काम है ऑब्जर्व द गेम and allow each individual to play as he or she wants, right? But when there is a violation of rules, regulations, then referee का वो करता है, डिसीजन लेता है। उसी वक्त स्टेट का काम है, वही काम है स्टेट का कि जब कोई रूल्स रेगुलेशन वायलेट करे तब स्टेट अपना डिसीजन ले। अदरवाइज गवर्नमेंट शुड बी मिनिमल वन, it should not intervene in all matter, right? Now it gave birth to the capitalism, right? And what happened in capitalism? The money was concentrated in few hands, right? The money or property concentrated in few hands. If you look at the UK was a capitalist country, and if you look at London, approximately 30 to 40% London was a slum. It increases inequalities. It dehumanizes people, right? There was a 16 hours working day, right? Working condition was so bad. right? Capitalists used to, incorporate women so that they can pay less to women, right? So there was a huge inequality in such extent. ये हुआ है 1850 तक. 1850 तक कोई सोशलिज्म नहीं था, राइट, मतलब मेजर सोशलिज्म नहीं था, वॉइस आ गई थी. अब क्या हुआ कि जो इंटेलेक्चुअल थे वहां पर, कहां पर, वेस्ट में, इन ब्रिटेन, इन फ्रांस, they actually avoided this. We don't believe in capitalism. We don't believe in capitalism because this capitalism has, created inequality between haves and haves not. Right? This capitalism has given, priority to private profit. Private profit. Because liberty always gives you to acquire more and more and more. Right? Now, they believe that we don't believe in capitalism, we believe in socialism. Why they don't believe in capitalism? Because capitalism actually produced, promise that they will promote liberty and equality to everyone. But what was the consequences of the capitalism? Consequences is inequality. Right? Consequences is divide between haves and haves not. गरीब और अमीर के बीच बहुत सारा डिवाइड हो गया, बहुत सारा दूरियां आ गई. इन्होंने कहा कि हम नहीं विश्वास करते आपके कैपिटलिज्म में, हम विश्वास करते हैं सोशलिज्म में. अब सोशलिज्म क्या है? यहां पर प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी पर ये बिलीव करते थे, प्राइवेट प्रॉफिट, प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी. ये कहते कि देखिए प्रॉपर्टी प्राइवेट नहीं होगी, देयर विल बी कॉमन ओनरशिप. क्या होगा? कॉमन ओनरशिप. यहां पर क्या है? प्राइवेट ओनरशिप. है ना? कैपिटलिज्म में क्या है? प्राइवेट ओनरशिप. Got the idea? Now Abhinav is saying due to capitalism West India was in British. Yes, capitalism has growth to also imperialism. Look at how industrialization has promoted, the traders to come to India, right? So they believed in private. They बोला कि हम नहीं, प्राइवेट ओनरशिप में बिलीव नहीं करते, हम कॉमन ओनरशिप में करते. अच्छा, तुम क्या करते हो? प्रोडक्शन जो करते हो प्रॉफिट के लिए करते हो. तुम जो बनाते हो सामान वो बेचने के लिए बनाते हो मार्केट में, राइट? प्रॉफिट के लिए हम प्रॉफिट के लिए नहीं, वी विल प्रोड्यूस फॉर नीड. प्रोडक्शन in order to satisfy need of masses. समझ में आ रहा है? इन्होंने जो लोग, ये लोग कौन थे? ये उस समय के इंटेलेक्चुअल थे, वो उस समय के स्टूडेंट थे. उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो कैपिटलिज्म है ये बड़ा ही अनजस्ट है, अनह्यूमन है, क्योंकि 24 घंटे मतलब 16 घंटे 14 घंटे 18 घंटे काम करा रहे हो आप लोगों से, और पैसा कितना वेस्ट किया दे रहे हो आप. जो नेगोशिएट कर लेते हो, 300 रुपए काम करोगे जी, नहीं करूंगा. 250 रुपए काम करोगे, कर लूंगा. What capitalist does? Capitalists negotiate with the laborer and don't respect their labor and their wage, right? They try to minimize investment in labor. नहीं, इतने में काम कर लोगे? बोले हाँ. वो भी क्या करेगा बेचारा, वो काम करता है ना, उसको क्या होता है? ज्यादा प्रॉफिट होता है. अब ये ज्यादा प्रॉफिट, ये अमीर अमीर बनता गया और इधर गरीब गरीब होता रहा है. So they don't believe in private property and they don't believe in profit. They believe in common ownership and they believe that the production shall be carried in to satisfy the need of the masses. ठीक है? समझ में आया? That was the objective. अब ये ऑब्जेक्टिव जो था कि सोशलिज्म हमें बनाना है. कैसे सोशलिज्म बनाना है? अब ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड तो हमें पता है कि हमारा गोल है कॉमन ओनरशिप and production shall be carried out to satisfy the need of the masses. ये था गोल. एंड गोल, इनका गोल क्या था? लिबरलिज्म का प्राइवेट, लिबर्टी, प्रॉफिट, प्रॉफिट, ऑनरशिप। अब इन्होंने कहा कि अब केक कैसे आएगा, ये तो एंड तो और मींस क्या होगा? मींस के लिए अलग अलग लोगों ने अलग अलग बात कही है सोशलिज्म। फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट बिफोर मार्क्स, there was an intellectual, they thought that, look, if we request the ruling class, right, कि देखिए सरकार अन्याय हो रहा है, look, there is an injustice with the workers, what will happen? Since they are educated, they are enlightened people, they will make a reform, right, and they will bring changes, right? They can increase wages, they can declare holiday, so and so forth. मार्क्स ने कहा कि सब ये गड़बड़ है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, राइट? ये रात को, ये जो इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट लोग हैं रात को दारू पिलाते हैं और उन्हीं को बताते हैं कि कल आप ये लॉ पास कर देना, वो कल लॉ पास कर देता है। तो ये जो आप देख रहे हो कि पार्लियामेंटेरियन, यू थिंक दैट दे विल ब्रिंग सोशलिज्म, वो कभी सोशलिज्म नहीं लाएगा। व्हाई? बिकॉज दे आर द मैनेजिंग कमिटी फॉर द बुर्जुआजी, द इंडस्ट्रियल क्लास, वो कभी नहीं लाएगा सोशलिज्म। तो बोला सोशलिज्म कैसे लोगा आएगा? बोला रिवॉल्यूशन करो, राइट? यू हैव टू ओवरथ्रो द capitalist state, you have to overthrow the capitalism, and then you can bring socialism. And within the socialism, the state shall command all the economic resources. There will be free education, free health, right? There will be infrastructure developed by the government, there will be employment to everyone, right? There will be bank, that will be nationalized bank, right? So common ownership कौन करेगा? स्टेट अपने हाथ में कॉमन ओनरशिप रखेगा, ठीक है? और उसके बाद प्रोडक्शन किसके लिए होगा? लोगों के नीड को सेटिस्फाई करने के लिए, बेचने के लिए नहीं। What the idea? Now look at, there is a various variation of socialism. अभी एक चीज समझ लीजिए कि in socialism, state owned the major economic resources. What happens in socialism? The state owns the major economic resources, and state facilitate in all providing all the services, right? Goods and services. Making sense? So थोड़ा लिखिए तो, लिखिए सोशलिज्म। अच्छा, ये समझ में आया ना? समझ में आया? थोड़ा लिखवा देता हूं और समझ में आएगा। सोशलिज्म as an ideology developed against capitalism, ब्रैकेट में लिबरलिज्म भी लिख लीजिएगा। Socialism as an ideology developed against capitalism. The early capitalism, the early liberalism promised that individual freedom shall bring prosperity for all. Early liberalism promised that individual freedom shall bring prosperity for all, but it did not happen. In due course of time, property and prosperity concentrated in the hand of few. concentrated in the hand of few, and majority remained vulnerable. जो ज्यादातर था लोग वो vulnerable class, right? There was no labor law, there was no fixed labor law, wages, leave, वीकली लीव होती है ना, वो भी नहीं था. लीव डिपेंड्स ऑन जिसके, अभी भी नहीं है, अभी भी वर्कर्स का बहुत बुरा हाल है, राइट? 30 दिन में 30 दिन खटते हैं, राइट? Majority, yeah, there was no fixed labor law, wages, leave, right? Working hour, and therefore the condition of working class was becoming bad to worse. No, you should write it to try to understand. ठीक है, बैकग्राउंड में, क्योंकि सोशलिज्म एक ऐसी आइडिया है, कैपिटलिज्म, सोशलिज्म, लिबरलिज्म इज ऑल आर बेसिक आइडिया, राइट? एनसीईआरटी जो है 11th क्लास का पॉलिटिकल थियोरी, उसमें एक चैप्टर होगा लिबरलिज्म के ऊपर, राइट? पढ़िएगा तो लिखिए, जब तक आपके आइडिया नहीं आएगा, राइट? तो बेसिक आइडिया होना चाहिए. Was bad to worse, yeah. देखिए, they were voiceless. And therefore, yes, voiceless, yeah. आवाज, उनके आवाज कोई नहीं बोल रहा था. Therefore, activist and a scholar argued that we do not believe in capitalism, but we believe in socialism. वो बोला कि हम कैपिटलिज्म में बिलीव नहीं करते, हम सोशलिज्म में बिलीव करते हैं. अच्छा, यहीं पे छोटा बता देता हूं. अच्छा, कैपिटलिज्म क्या था? कैपिटलिज्म में एक दो सैलेंट फीचर्स थे, लिखा देता हूं यहां पर. सैलेंट फीचर्स क्या होता है? पहला होता है प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी, प्राइवेट ऑनरशिप. किसी भी कैपिटलिस्ट कंट्री में प्राइवेट ऑनरशिप होगा, ठीक है? सेकेंड होगा लिबर्टी. लिबर्टी वुड बी द कोर वैल्यू. लिबर्टी मीन्स फ्रीडम, right? Then third would be minimum estate or minimal estate. मिनिमल स्टेट यानी स्टेट ज्यादा काम नहीं करेगी, वेलफेयर भी नहीं करेगा, स्टेट एजुकेशन नहीं देगी. अपना प्राइवेट एजुकेशन लेना है, प्राइवेट स्कूल में एडमिशन ले लो. हेल्थ लेना है, इतना हॉस्पिटल है, जाओ पैसा खर्च करो, राइट? Fourth, they advocate free market. फ्री मार्केट इकोनॉमी. ये कैपिटलिज्म के फीचर्स हैं सारे. तो उसमें प्राइवेट ऑनरशिप को रिस्पेक्ट किया जाता है लिबर्टी, कोर वैल्यू लिबर्टी मीन्स फ्रीडम, राइट। मेरे पास 10 अगर 10 ये फैक्ट्री है, मैं 15 फैक्ट्री जमा लूं, 25 फैक्ट्री जमा लूं, राइट। मैं लेबर 500 रख लूं, मैं उसका पेमेंट 10 रुपया ही करूं अगर वो 10 रुपये लेने के लिए राजी है तो। आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? सो हियर स्टेट डज नॉट मेक लॉ, इवन द लेबर लॉ, यू नो, दे डोंट कम टू एंड वो कहते हैं कि आपस में आप हम कर लीजिए बात, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर लीजिए। अगर लेबर तैयार है, इफ लेबर्स आर रेडी टू वर्क इन 50 रुपीज, गेट देयर लेबर इन 50 रुपीज। बट सोशलिस्ट इसलिए कहता है कि नहीं भाई, ऐसे नहीं चलेगा ना, बिकॉज दे आर वॉइसलेस, दे डोंट actually they can't speak against you because they are fear, they are something, right? They actually, socialism किसमें बिलीव करता है, right? मैं सेलियन फीचर्स लिख देता हूं। They believe in common ownership, or you can say state ownership, common ownership or collective ownership, right? Or state ownership, ठीक है। They don't believe in private ownership। अच्छा, सेकेंड ये बिलीव करता है, बिलीव इन इक्वालिटी। They don't believe in liberty, they believe in equality is a prior, basic value for them। liberty is a basic value। देखो, वो कहते हैं इक्वालिटी जरूरी है, लिबर्टी बाद में। विदाउट इक्वालिटी देयर इज नो लिबर्टी, राइट। नाउ थर्ड, दिस इज टॉकिंग अबाउट मिनिमल स्टेट, दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट नॉट वेलफेयर। इससे एक्चुअली बहुत ही लंबा पूरा पढ़ाने लग जाऊंगा ना, तो 2-3 क्लास लगेंगे ठीक से समझाने में, राइट। दे टॉक अबाउट बेसिकली सोशलिज्म, state which controls all social and economic affairs for the welfare of the people, for the welfare of the people। एक्चुअली वेलफेयर जो स्टेट है ना अमन, दैट इज ऑल्सो अगेन, इसके बाद कैपिटलिस्ट जो लिबरल्स थे ना, उन्होंने आइडिया चेंज कर लिया। अभी बताता हूं इन्होंने क्या आइडिया चेंज कर लिया। देखा कि बहुत जगह वर्कर्स मूवमेंट करना शुरू कर दिए, अब क्या होगा, उन्होंने क्या कहा कि नहीं, अब स्टेट को भी मिनिमम स्टेट नहीं रहना पड़ेगा, स्टेट विल प्रोवाइड वेलफेयर टू द पीपल, वल्नरेबल पीपल, दैट इज कॉल्ड वेलफेयर स्टेट। हाँ, अच्छा, दे एडवोकेट फ्री मार्केट इकोनॉमी? नो, they oppose free market economy, they oppose free market। बोला फ्री मार्केट होता ही नहीं है, मार्केट तो भाई साहब कभी फ्री नहीं होता है, राइट। फॉर एग्जांपल बोलेंगे, फॉर एग्जांपल अ ट्रेड बिटवीन यूएस एंड क्यूबा, क्यूबा में कॉफी बहुत होता है ना, ब्राजील में कॉफी बहुत होता है, राइट। अब इन दोनों के बीच में जो फ्री मार्केट, ब्राजील ने कहा कि ओके, आई विल सेंड यू 100 टन कॉफी एंड यू सेंड मी ओनली 1 कार, दिस कैन बी द फ्री मार्केट। फ्री मार्केट मीन्स बोथ शुड बी एग्री। बोला कि ये फ्री मार्केट नहीं है, दिस इज अनइक्वल एक्सचेंज। आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? समझ में आ रहा है? फ्री मार्केट मतलब बायर और सेलर के बीच में अगर जो एग्रीमेंट हो जाए। टैक्स वैक्स तो बाद की बात है, हाँ, टैक्स डिडक्शन तो होगा ऑफ कोर्स, ठीक है। तो ये कहता है कि ये अनइक्वल एक्सचेंज है, ऐसे नहीं होगा, ये होना नहीं चाहिए, राइट। सो दे डोंट बिल्ड, दे अपोज फ्री मार्केट। फ्री मार्केट में होता है कि स्टेट्स इंटरवीन नहीं करता है कि आपको क्या बेचना है क्या नहीं बेचना है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू कैन ओपन, टाइम हो गया, टाइम तो हो भी गया, you can open any entrepreneurship, anything, but जब स्टेट मार्केट आ जाइए, स्टेट ऑन करेगा, you can't open. India is not a socialist state. India was a welfare state. We'll talk about, it was also socialist, but basically it was a welfare state. We'll talk about tomorrow. Right, more story about tomorrow. थोड़ा कम story रहा, yes. Got the idea? Chaliye. Sir, what is the need of exchange being equal if both our parties agreed? See, Tanya, if both parties are agreed, then what? If both parties are agreed, then what is the need of exchange of being equal? जरूरी है भाई, अगर दो लोग तैयार हो जाए, राइट, कि नो व्हाट इज, दो लोग तैयार हो जाए कि ओके, वो कहे कि ठीक है मैं ये करना चाहता हूँ, बोले कि हाँ, मान लीजिए देयर इज ए एंड देयर इज अ बी, ए कहे कि मैं तुम्हें खाना चाहता हूँ, बी कहे कि मैं तुम्हें खिलाना चाहता हूँ. Cannibalism, have you heard about it? Is it justified? It is not. बी कहे मैं ए को खिलाना चाहता हूं, तुम मेरा ना हाथ एक दिन काट के खाओ, दूसरे दिन दूसरा हाथ काट के खाओ, तीसरा दिन मेरा पैर काट के खा लो, ये कहेगा मैं खुश हूं, मैं खा सकता हूं. बट इज इट जस्टिफाइड? इट कैन बी जस्टिफाइड. ठीक है, तो विल टॉक अबाउट इट लेटर ऑन. चलो.